It is time to get a little deeper into the new kickoff rules in the NFL. The website, is it Sumer or Summer? It's only one M, but it's Sumer. Sumer Sport, we'll say Sumer Sports.
I'm going to say Sumer, yeah, I agree.
Sumersports.com did a really interesting article this week.
Yeah.
On a breakdown of the new NFL kickoff rule, and he used the XFL because these rules are very similar to what the XFL. They're not identical, but they're pretty close.
Yes.
To what the NFL is doing this season in regards to the kickoffs. And so he studied a lot of different things. He studied tactics. He studied where success can be had and not had in terms of where the ball is kicked, where the ball is received. And so what we're going to do for you, and again, if you're watching in on the stream, we'll have some graphs for you. For the radio folks, we're going to try our best to explain exactly what is going on. But to basically, in short, kickoffs are now going to look very different. The kicker is going to be kicking off still from the 35-yard line. And the setup, instead of everybody setting up where you were used to seeing them set up,
which is the 35-yard line where you were kicking off from,
the defensive team or the kicking off team will be set up at the opponent's 40-yard line. And then the offensive or receiving team will be set up 5 yards back from them, so at the 35. So, again, it's going to look very weird.
Dude, it's and the article is awesome, and I'll be sure to retweet it in a second as well. When you watch the video of it happening in the XFL, it's wild because in a way it feels like your TV is frozen because the players can't move. The ball's in the air. These players are all standing way closer to the return man than they have ever been before. And I know I don't mean to jump ahead, but they don't move until the ball is caught. And so it looks way, way, way different than anything we have ever seen before.
Exactly. So, yeah, if you're wondering, well, isn't that a head start? No, there is no head start because the teams are not allowed to move until the returner has fielded the football.
Yeah.
Now, as far as how the players are aligned, the receiving team's setup zone has to have at least 9 players. At least 9 players up at near the 35-yard line. They don't all have to be right on the 35. 2 of them can be offset. So that's a little bit of insight as to what happens. So once again, the ball, when it is kicked off, must get at least inside the 20-yard line on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
If it does not, then the ball, it will be a touchback, and the receiving team gets the ball at the 40-yard line.
Woo!
The 40-yard line. So if the ball does not end up at least inside of the 20-yard line or the landing zone,
the red zone.
It's a great name for it.
Landing zone.
Mm-hmm.
Then the touchback comes out to the 40-yard line. Also, if a kickoff goes out of bounds, similar to
40-yard line still,
it comes out to the 40-yard line.
But how about this? So if it is downed in the end zone, a.k.a. I kick it off, John, you're the return man, you catch it, you take a knee, that is the 20-yard line,
so it's an old-fashioned touchback.
Thank God. I actually like the 20 versus the 25. But if you just whoop it out of the end zone, this is something that I didn't know. 30-yard line.
Correct.
So there is going to be strategy obviously involved, but skill is really going to be super important with these kickers because you don't want to give the team a great field position advantage on the 40-yard line, and you don't want to just boot it out of the end zone as well and have them take over at the 30. So making sure that it lands in that landing zone or at least is downed in the end zone, thus it doesn't bounce out. And see, what's going to be fun, John, is players maybe letting it hit the ground, hoping that it goes in, but what if it hits in the end zone and jumps forward?
Exactly.
Because the returners, it'll be interesting to see what they do.
All right, so there's how it's going to set up. But now, one of the things that was discovered in the research by Sumer Sports, and again, I apologize if I'm mispronouncing his name, but he went and broke down all the kickoffs in the XFL. Again, the XFL had a very similar rule as the NFL is going to have to see where success is and is not possible.
Yeah, different blocking schemes that they have.
Different blocking schemes. Because really what you're going to see is the potential for the receiving team to set up their blocks similar to a running attack.
Yeah, it was fun the way that he called them, that the writer described the plays, and it had typical kind of nomenclature, typical verbiage rather, of a running play to this direction or to that direction.
Right. And again, because everything is in a more condensed zone, you're just not going to be able to rush everybody to one side of the field or the other to set up any kind of a wedge.
Well, by the time
because there's not going to be any time.
And hey, real quick.
And everyone's got to be spread out along
evenly.
the field. You can't stack.
Overload, yeah.
You can't overload either as a kicking or receiving team. You can't overload. So everyone's got to be spread out in their setup.
Real quick, I want to go back to the first slide because there are a couple of questions. Jordan asked, does this mean no more squib kicks? Max says, I was going to ask that. Is it where the ball lands or ends up after it bounces / rolls? You are able to do, and he describes them in the story, knuckleball style kicks.
Knuckleball, but that's different. No, if you squib the ball, that's landing before the landing zone.
So it needs to
reach the landing zone on the fly.
You just have to be really, really good at it. Obviously.
We'll get to the knuckleball in a minute because that's an interesting, possible strategy.
Yeah.
But there are different blocking schemes that could be possible. Sumer Sports indicate you could have cross blocks. You could have, setting up to where a couple of your guys drop back and then cross block the guy ahead of them and set up a return that way. You can run basically a pin and pull type scenario where you're slanting two blockers opposite them and then pulling another blocking player.
Yeah.
And basically running something similar to a sweep. There's the possibility of trap blocking.
Yeah, that was fun.
And there was old-fashioned power.
The communication that is going to be required, in particular, John, by the receiving team, to make sure that, because I assume if you're going to run power, either side is live until you know which direction the runner is going.
Correct.
So it's like, okay, making sure, hey, it's coming to the right side of the field or it's going to the left side of the field, whatever verbiage you decide to use.
Right, and that's the thing is, if you're setting up a blocking scheme like this, you don't know where the ball's going. You don't know which side of the field, so it's going to depend on
the return man making sure that hey, we're going right, we're going left, whatever it is.
And there were some teams that set up different things like this.
Yeah.
But those are some of the ways that folks can try to counter this and attack in returns. It's no longer about dropping guys back and overloading a side of the field and setting up a wall. Now, because the setup zones are so much shorter, essentially teams are going to be running plays, or the potential of running plays. Now, a lot of folks might just do straight one-on-one blocking.
Yeah.
I got the guy in front of me and hope for the best. But these are the types of tactics that are going to be and have been worked out in the NFL, and what teams decide to do with them is yet to be seen.
A few more questions. So David asks, he says, did the NFL test this one out in the preseason last season? And they did not. So this is all new. This preseason will be really interesting. Cut that clip, Nick.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you very much. But in all seriousness.
Only from this standpoint.
Nice. A lot of people asking about onside kicks. What does this mean for onside kicks? Onside kicks are not allowed until the fourth quarter now, and you have to proclaim it.
Yes.
You have to say
there's no more surprise onside.
No more surprise onside.
Scott Frost is okay.
So
Nick,
yes, if there is an
he might still
onside,
be the coach.
if there is an onside kick, a team has to say that they're going to do it, and then it will set up in a normal, we'll call it normal modern kickoff formation.
Correct. Max says, is the ball still recoverable even if it doesn't touch someone? I'd assume not, since a player has to touch the ball before anyone moves. Is the ball live once touched, or does it have to be possessed? So once the ball lands in the landing zone, then players are allowed to move. Like, in theory, that's why the knuckle kick is, and there was a couple of videos in the story, is so valuable, because if your kicker is able to kick it and keep it low and maybe kind of moving around a little bit like a knuckleball, and it's able to get inside the landing zone of the 20. Maybe it takes a weird bounce, everyone's able to move, and maybe you're able to regain possession. But it's going to take a very particular set of skills that the kicker is going to have to be able to do that.
Right. So, yes, the low line drive. And again, the ball must hit inside the landing zone. So it must hit at least inside the 20-yard line. So if your knuckleball dies at the 25, well, guess what?
40-yard line, man.
That means the opposing team gets the ball at the 40-yard line. The touchback comes out to the 40-yard line.
Yeah. I can't wait, and this is such a weird thing to say, I can't wait to hear from kickers in the lead up to the season to see, like, how much was this a skill you already had? How much was this a skill that you had to hone in on? How much was this a skill that you didn't have at all, and that you really had to kind of learn to make sure that you have it handled well? And the teams that have kickers, if you can drop it into the end zone, great. Awesome. Congratulations. The kickers that can put it somewhere in between the 10 or the 0-yard line, the end zone, and the 20, and to keep it low, those guys are really going to be a good piece to the puzzle. And then you start wondering about the good special teams coaches and some of the goofy stuff they're planning. It's honestly a bummer that Bill Belichick's not coaching anymore, if only for this, just to see what he would have whipped up.
Because your kicker is going to have to be able to execute, right? Because now, unless you're just willing to boom it out of the back of the end zone and just give the other team the ball at the 30-yard line, great.
Mm-hmm.
But you get 10 yards of extra field position as a defense if you're able to force the other team to down the ball in the end zone, because then the touchback is at the 20-yard line.
Yeah.
This new setup kind of upgrades the importance of a kicker on a team.
Bingo.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Which is why there are some special teams coordinators who are wondering if they have people already on their roster who have the talent to be able to pooch kick, directionally kick, do the knuckleball kick. Because recently, the philosophy in the NFL has been just bang the thing out of the end zone.
Yeah.
So now
just bang the thing out of the end zone. So you just usually use your punter or your place kicker, and they just do that. But now the kickoff is a little bit more precise, again, unless you're just willing to give the team the ball at the 30-yard line. But there is that enticement of, well, I could force these guys to return it, and if I'm confident in my special teams to make the play, we're in good shape. Or they down it in the end zone, and the touchback's 80 yards away from the end zone, which, statistically, every time you start further up down the field, the better your chances to score.
I kind of really like that this elevates the kicker like that, because then we can have similar discussions that we have with quarterbacks of power versus accuracy and all of.
Yeah, I
it's
think
cool.
I think honestly, what the NFL has done with the kicker in the last handful of years in the NFL, I think that they have added some interesting elements. When they first moved to the extra point back, people were like, this is stupid. It's not going to matter that much. It matters a ton. And what used to be a guaranteed extra point now is a lot more difficult, and it is not a guaranteed extra point. And so you see misses, then see 2-point conversions. This is one where we just don't know what it's going to mean. Like, the writer of the story, Sean Syed, he looked at 400 plus XFL kickoffs. Those are lesser kickers. Those are lesser players.
Correct.
So what's going to happen when the best in the world at this stuff gets involved, and better coaching, better coaches in general? What will all of this mean? And could, like with the extra point going back, it added this extra impact to the game. Could the kickoff be back? Like, could that be an exciting play again? Like, I'm pumped to see what it means. That first Sunday, it's going to look weird, and it's going to take a while to get used to the look of it. But man, if we get exciting plays again on the kickoff, like, it's such a rarity. I will say the extra point, or the onside kick rather, kind of disappearing sucks. In my opinion,
no more surprise onside, which if you're Scott
bummer.
Frost, that would have been a huge advantage. But that's disappointing. But this is the offset of trying to regain some excitement in this element of special teams. Dave asks, Music City Miracle plays still in play?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there
was a video that he attached to the story where a guy threw it back, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Once you field the ball in the landing zone, if you want to, either throw it across the field or run a reverse.
Yeah, you can do all that stuff.
The returners can still do that kind of stuff if they see that there's a benefit to doing this. Max says, with a knuckleball, I wonder if it's low enough you can try to catch it before it reaches the 20 and then have the ball at the 40-yard line. Again, there'd be no benefit if the knuckleball falls short of the 20-yard line.
You're good to go.
You're good to go because you're getting the ball at the 40-yard line.
The play's over.
The play is dead.
I wonder.
The ball, that's the other thing. The ball, the play is dead if the ball does not reach the landing zone.
Yeah.
And the
then
ball
it's
comes out
automatic
to the
40-yard
40-yard
line.
I wonder if, at least in the short term, if this is going to make UFL. It's UFL now, right?
Sure.
Yes.
If it's going to make these players that are currently in there a little more appealing to a lot of the NFL teams
experience
because they have experience with this. And there's former XFL players that have recently gotten drafted that have this experience. It'll be cool to see how it shakes out over the next few years.
Couple from YouTube user. What about free kicks after a safety? And then he adds, sorry if I missed it, but what if the returner doesn't catch the ball, but it lands in the end zone, but continues on out of the back of the end zone? So if the latter happens, you get the ball at the 30 because it went out of the back of the end zone.
Yes.
Free kicks after a safety, actually that wasn't in the story, right? My guess is that you'd just push yourself back a few yards because free kicks are done from your own 20, right? So my guess is that you'd be at your own 20-yard line, but I think it would be all the same otherwise.
I thought it was in here, but
was it not?
I'm double checking here. Me
being a nerd about this, I'm excited. I wonder if
it's nothing about safety.
This has to be implemented in the new Madden game.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I think this could add another layer to that because kickoffs and Madden, I mean, they've basically been the same for years.
Yeah. So yeah, this will be on the it'll be on the video game too.
I'm excited for this.
There you go. I think, look, again, appearance wise, it looks goofy, but that's only because we've never seen it before.
We've never seen it.
But I'm hoping that it adds a fun element to the game that we haven't really seen before.
Yeah, getting rid of what the onside kick was sucks, but it's taking one thing away and getting 5-6 more things.
Well, yeah, and so I think what's going to happen if a team is trying for a surprise onside, it won't be a surprise onside. It'll trying to be knuckling it into the landing zone where you can, go recover it. Would be my guess on how they'll do it, but I think that's going to be kind of hard too. So we'll see.
Husker Country says, how is a ball downed in the end zone if it must land between the goal line and the 20? No, it does not have to. The landing zone
just has to get to the 20.
It has to get to the 20. But if I kick the ball in the end zone and Josh is 2 yards deep in the end zone and fields it,
I can either return it.
He can return it.
Or I can take a knee.
Or he can take a knee.
So
and if he takes a knee, he gets the ball at the 20.
Yeah. And
so the reason for that is that's the incentive for you to come out of the end zone.
Correct. They don't want, instead of it being the 25 anymore, they've moved it back to the 20. So there's a little more risk and a little more reward. But if you are towards the back of the end zone, the reward there is, man, if this bounces out of the end zone, then we get the ball to 30. But if it were to bounce forward, you might be screwed. And so, again, what the players decide to do in those moments.
So, again, it's going to be a talent because if you're trying to elevate the kick enough to where it could be down in the end zone, but if Josh, let's say the kick hits in the middle of the end zone and he just lets it bounce and it goes out the back of the end zone, then it's coming out to the 30.
Yeah, Cody on the text machine says, how would it be possible for someone to kneel in the end zone? If you catch a kneel, get it at the 20, or if it lands in the end zone, you get it at the 40. No. If it lands in the end zone, I mean, it's a fair play right there.
Well, yeah, you've got to make a decision. You can't just let the ball
hang out in the end zone.
Hang out in the end zone. It either has to bounce out of the end zone, which is a touchback to the 30. Or you have to catch it and make a decision.
Take a knee,
either take
20,
a knee or run it out.
But if you just let the ball sit there, then
if you let the ball sit there, then I could recover it and score a touchdown.
Yeah, it's not
that's a free ball.
It's not a dead ball. It's not high school. High school, the ball hits the end zone, the play is over. Even college now, the ball hits the end zone, the play is over.
Yeah,
not the NFL.
Nope.
Fun.
So I do understand there's a lot of questions, and these are all good questions, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. This story was awesome.
I think all of this will make a lot more sense once we can all see it in action.
This is one of the changes that we need to see because we just need to watch it unfold over the course of those preseason games. And it's funny, they'll probably talk about it on SportsCenter a lot. It'll be nice just to learn.
And that's another reason I brought up Madden, because that comes out in like a month.
There you go.
Before the season.
People love the video games.
I know. Well, I mean, video games
for
are
Jack Mitchell.
A good way to learn.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So you can visualize.
Oh. Jed says, I look forward to Mitch telling you guys that no one is more prepared for this new kickoff than the Chiefs.
Nice.